A few days ago, we were talking about it when we heard about it. PAI Capital. Who are they? We're about to find out more about them. They're a consortium trying to buy West Ham United, and the face of the consortium, the spokesman for that consortium, joins us live here in studio. A fella I haven't seen for quite a number of years, since I used to meet him at Loftus Road when he was with Queen's Park Rangers. Mr. Philip Beard, good afternoon. How are you?
Very well, Jim, and it's really good to see you again as well, because it has been a while.
It has been a while. You have moved on and you are doing other things. And of course, you were involved in the Olympics. We'll get into that. I know your involvement at the O2. And now, of course, you've turned your attentions to the potential takeover of a Premier League club. And that club is West Ham United, run by Messrs Sullivan, Gold and Brady. And many of the listeners out there who support West Ham have their own views on them. And you're well aware of that. Simon and I deal with it almost all the time. So where should we go with this, Philip? First off, tell us, who are PAI Capital?
Well, we're PAI Capital. We're a private equity group, investors in different businesses. Most of the partners have been very successful. And this is another project that we're keen to move on and try and complete.
So most of the people involved are pretty wealthy individuals. Are they based in London? Are they based abroad?
We're based in Savile Row in London.
All of them based in London?
Yes.
Okay, because there was talk, we heard Dubai get mentioned. That's nonsense, is it?
No,
all based here?
Some of the partners split time between different businesses, but they're all based primarily in the UK.
Okay. So is it the case that you've made one bid and that bid was batted back?
Well, what I'm trying to do is put the record slightly more straight. You know, we're keen, and I've got utmost respect for Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Gold and Karen Brady. But we're interested, and we're interested for 2 or 3 reasons. One is we think we could do something with West Ham. We think that if the price was right, they'd sell. So we put together a bid. We provided proof of funds. And for some reason, West Ham said that they hadn't had a formal bid and hadn't had proof of funds. So I think it's only right for West Ham fans to know that there has been a bid. The challenge seems to be that Mr. Sullivan seems to have a much higher value. And, at the end of the day, whatever you spend on a business, especially football, the more you spend, the less you can invest in the team and the squad. And so there's a realistic value, we think, that is acceptable, should be acceptable, pretty much we thought was accepted. And now the goalposts have changed, literally.
Okay, so the goalposts have changed. Can you tell us the nature of the bid? I mean, are we talking in the region of 400 million?
Yeah, I won't give specifics, but we think it's a very fair valuation. We think that Mr. Sullivan thought it was as well. But, Simon knows this, you guys know this. If somebody decides to change the valuation of anything, it's their prerogative. And David Sullivan and David Gold have the majority shareholdings in West Ham United, been there for 11 years, passionate about the club, I'm sure. But we would like to try and do something there. And part of the reason is that I have this issue around football clubs, and particularly the Olympic Stadium, being underutilised. Now, if we were to do something with West Ham, I can promise you that they would be the heart of the vision of all the projects we would do. So it's West Ham United's home, and it will be, and that's not even in question. But if we can get the right investment, I think we could improve the stadium. I think we could do more stuff at the more events and things at the stadium, not affecting at all the football club, but generating revenue from other events would mean we'd have more money as well to invest back into the club. So the Olympic Park as well is, I don't know if you've been there recently. Simon, I don't know if you've been down to the park.
I have, yeah.
But it feels to me like, again, that is underutilised. And it's 10 years next year since the Olympic Games were on. So I look at it and think we could create, I believe, a whole series of activities in the park that would be generating money, profits. And actually, as we all know, at the moment, it is a cost for the taxpayer.
Right. So you're big on Olympic legacy, Philip. We'll get onto that shortly, because with all due respect, I'm not sure that West Ham fans listening this lunchtime are particularly bothered about Olympic legacy. They want to see you take over the football club, and they want you to take West Ham better than 6 last season.
And that's our vision, and that's our objective, and that's our plan. And I think it can be done. I believe that we can make the experience for West Ham fans when they come to the stadium a better experience. I think we can do more for them. You know, we all know that the Olympic Stadium as a configuration is not been brilliant for a football club. So we can work on that, and technology will allow us to do things like that. When I was at the O2, we'll come on to that, I'm sure. You know, we had retractable seating.
Right.
Because of brand new arena. And, yeah, I think West Ham fans deserve I'm not going to say better, because that's totally insulting. But I think what we want to try and do is make their experience better. And that includes investing on the pitch as well in the squad.
Okay, so you're serious about it. It's just that West Ham tell us a formal bid. There was no formal bid. They don't see it as a formal bid. I mean, how did it go in? How were proof of funds shown? How did this work?
Well, I can't go into those exact sort of details. But at the end of the day, we're comfortable that we've made a realistic offer.
But Philip, I mean, there's an element of irony of coming onto a radio show to talk about transparency, of how a transaction will manifest itself without being transparent. You know, if you want to buy a football club, having bought and sold football clubs and bought and sold businesses, the way you appear to be going about it is the antithesis of how I would go about buying a football club, because sitting on talkSPORT is not the way you buy football clubs. Buying football clubs is finding some sort of accord with the owners and using professional people to do it. My understanding is that you put a proof of funds in via Oldswang as a letter saying that you guys have the funds, without a great deal of qualification behind that. To just sit here and say, I want to set the record straight. I'm not attacking you, by the way. I'm just setting a framework. To set the record straight and to put people into the picture, there's an element of playing to the gallery, right? Everybody knows, that's got half a brain, that West Ham fans have done nothing but be upset about the move from the Berlin to the Olympic Stadium. So you suggesting you're going to make it a better experience in the stadium is you guys playing to the gallery. I would have suspected there's an element of naivety about some of the people you brought into your consortium as well, with the Rio Ferdinand and Anton Ferdinand, with Rio Ferdinand spending the entire summer advocating that Declan Rice gets sold to Man United. I would have thought there's a little bit of naivety about bringing him into your mix. But the notion of trying to buy a football club and at the same time dragging the current owners into the public domain over an unsightly sort of sentiment of who's made an offer, how much the offer was for, whether the offer was put in place. And I've had a little conversation with a couple of them. And it's fair to say, right, I am no cheerleader for David Gold and David Sullivan. If anyone knows my background with David Sullivan and David Gold, I know perfectly well what they're capable of. But it's their business. And if you knock on the door, right, and say, I want to buy your business or your house for XYZ, and they say no, and we want XYZ, we want more than that, you can't sit in the public domain crying foul because you don't like the fact they want to get more money for their business. That's up to them. But I'm trying to get an understanding of, it can't be a difficult question. Proof of funds is not difficult. I went and bought a football club. I went in with my checkbook and I wrote a cheque out.
So you've shown
proof of funds is not difficult.
Philip. You've shown proof of funds and you've made a bid.
Exactly that. And you know, the reason I've come on here is because Jim White asked me to, and I like him a lot. But also, it was a chance to just explain what we did. And Simon, I hear you, and I've been in business for a long time, and negotiations ideally are handled and negotiated without having to go and say too much to other people. Mm-hmm. But football is different, and you know better than anybody. And the reality is that when we were told that we hadn't provided a bid or proof of funds, there was no option than to at least address that and explain that we had. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, because I think that is private, because we have done it, but we are preparing a second bid.
You can't argue it's a
Hang on, Simon.
business.
You are preparing a second bid.
Yeah, and I absolutely can, because I can decide what detail I want to go into. I'm trying to let the club and the fans know that, you know, we are serious. We're very serious business people. We have the funds. Mm-hmm. We won't have debt carrying forward. We're not doing debt financing. So that's important. We've got to transfer if we can get the deal done. And, you know, there's a very good chance, Simon, that we won't. I mean, if Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Gold decide, literally, guys, it doesn't matter what you're for.
You've been around football 99 times out of 100. When you drag a deal into the public domain and talk the way you are, these deals don't happen. The first thing I sit there and say is, the moment I hear you guys talking through the media, I say this deal's not going to happen. Because every deal that comes through the media, where it's Eric Alonso with Mel Morris at Derby and whoever else it is next, Never, whether it's the guy that wanted to buy Arsenal, that used the public domain to leverage his position and started to wheel in Dennis Bergkamp and whoever else he could do to get the popular position going on, you look at it and say, this deal, if you want to buy this football club, I couldn't buy Palace, so I wheeled in Arthur Anderson's because I couldn't deal with the people in situ at Palace. I'm surprised that you aren't wheeling in Rothschilds. I'll tell you what, Sullivan and Gold are difficult to deal with. They've got a valuation. We're not getting on very well. We'll bring in proper people to do a deal rather than flap our gums in the media.
Are you doing that anyway, Philip? Are you bringing in somebody
Hold on. I'm not flapping my gums. I'm trying to just be honest and explain. And I don't feel comfortable that I have to answer direct questions that give more detail than I'm prepared to give. I've come on here today to...
That's not transparency, then, is it?
Well,
that's not what you've set in the record
depends
straight, is it?
It depends how... I mean, you define transparency. You know, what I'm trying to do is to say to the West Ham fans, and they have become very, most of them, supportive. I think you mentioned the Rio situation and Anton. I think it's fair to say, and you know this as well, I'm going to keep saying that during the interview, I suppose, but at the end of these players, whether Declan Rice stays or goes, or Harry Kane stays or goes, will be legends at the clubs that they were at, hopefully, and go on. Let me finish. Go on to bigger.
But you're
things.
utilising them from a PR.
But I tell you what, Philip, take a break for a second because we'll take a quick break.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1, on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.